If you have done, renovations where permits were either obtained or closed or whatever stage they're in, like just get all the paperwork ready, and like you should have a file. I'm hoping everybody has a file of like everything that they do, including invoices, all the work that you've done.
Okay, so let's say you are representing a client and they have got a permit and the permit's not closed. What kind of problems can you get into there?
Welcome to the TNT Real Estate Podcast, where we spark conversations that set you up for real estate success. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Tanya, and each week we bring you expert tips on navigating Northern Ontario's real estate market. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got the tools to help you thrive. Welcome back to the TNT Podcast. I'm Tanya. And you're Tyler.
I am Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
How's it going?
Good. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. I mean, I saw you yesterday for a couple hours at the office.
Yep.
Well, what you been up to? What's been happening in life?
Sickness.
Aw.
All three kids are sick. Actually, I thought I was gonna skip the sickness portion of this, but then everybody got healthy and then I got sick. So that's what I've been doing. And I've also been selling a couple of houses here and there, wrapping up, getting a couple of Christmas bonuses, and that's it.
That's good.
Planning for next year. We did our office business planning last week with the agents. It went really well. And I think there are some big plans.
Yep. And we did our own business planning for the brokerage.
Yes.
That was great. That was really good.
Yep.
I now have it bound and printed so we can refer to it forever.
Yeah. It's our office Bible.
Beautiful. Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about the beautiful topic of building permits.
Oh.
Why you should get building permits. Why, if you don't, it's going to come back to haunt you in your nightmares forever and ever. Yes. So building permits are necessary to do renovations of your property. A lot of things people don't even know about are necessary to get building permits. And the reason you should get it is, because the city says you have to. Yeah. And also because if you ever go to sell your house, it's going to be a nightmare.
Right.
To close.
Yeah. And I think, at the heart of the issue, it's, legislation that was put in place to make sure everything that is being built is safe, which makes sense. I feel like it's gone almost overboard with the amount of permits and the red tape that needs to happen. But that's why it matters, is to keep everybody safe, to make sure that there's, people that are building, or if you're self-building, that everything is done to code, done to, standards. And it's not just, being thrown up with a bunch of sticks and will cause, public safety issues.
Yeah, absolutely. You never want someone putting in their own pot lights or doing their own electrical work without getting the permit.
Right.
And having it properly inspected, right? There's definitely a lot of risks involved with public safety or safety of the homeowner, certainly, that are necessary. But it seems that also the permit process is not a fun process to go through.
Yep.
I understand, our city has been trying to encourage people to get permits done and trying to simplify the process.
Right.
But a lot of people have the idea, maybe it's a misconception, that it's hard to get a permit and go through the process, and it's tedious.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think also that it's a cash grab for the city, because what happens after you get the permit is they come back and reassess the value of your property, and guess what? Your taxes will go up.
Yeah.
Because now your value has gone up.
Right.
So that can be problematic, because that stops people from then going and getting permits.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I feel like, I feel like the city's doing a much better job in recent years than they have done, I feel like, in the last couple of decades. Because I feel like that's when people really stopped getting permits, especially in the city. And just like a little fact about Sudbury is Sudbury's one of two cities in the country, as I'm aware, that there's only one title insurance company that will cover title issues, which include permits, and they have that one company that does do it has a cap of $10,000,
right,
which will cover basically nothing that you can do. Like like a deck is more than $10,000 now, so it won't even rebuild your deck if you find an issue.
It almost seems like the whole title insurance process right now is just to get away from having to do property surveys,
right,
and boundary surveys before closing,
right.
But really, you're not covered. So it's important. I mean, you should get a permit anyways if you're going to do renovations. It's very important if you're ever going to sell your home, especially. And if you've started the permit process, perhaps, or opened a permit because of something you were doing, now's the time to go ahead and get that closed. Right. Otherwise, we're going to have headaches at closing.
That's right. And that's one of the biggest issues. And like I did a big renovation 2 years ago at the house where we took down the main wall of the house, put up a big beam, opened up our kitchen, and like kind of made it like an open living area, which was a big enough project. And I knew that was the first permit that I had pulled. I've done work before that, which maybe I should have needed a permit for, but didn't get it. But this one, obviously, I knew it would affect the structure of the house, and anybody walking into the house would know a New Sudbury bungalow does not look like this. Typically,
it definitely has a wall in that place. Yeah.
So I knew I was going to get one, and I thought it was an expensive process because you have to get engineering drawings and all the things, but the process itself was pretty good, and I had a really good contractor that took care of everything. And I just had to, pay when I had to pay and stuff like that, go pick it up or whatever. But yeah, I thought the process itself was actually fairly easy, which I was impressed with.
Okay. So let's say you are representing a client.
Right.
And they have got a permit and the permit's not closed. What kind of problems can you get into there?
There's all sorts of problems, but it really depends how old the permit is. Like if it was done last year, it wasn't closed, and let's say it was like a deck or something, chances are the Ontario Building Code hasn't changed that much, which would make you have to bring that deck up to current code, which is the biggest issue. But I've had I sold a house pre-COVID, I want to say 2018, and they built the house 40 years ago and didn't close that permit.
Oh, wow.
And so technically the whole house had to be brought up to current building code,
right?
Which it's a totally different code,
it's changed,
right?
Yeah.
So we had to do a lot of work to the house to get it to that stage. It was a grading issue. It was like this and that. And it took, we only delayed closing by about a month because everybody worked pretty quick. And at that point, the city was when we needed an inspection, they sent the inspector right away. So I feel like they were really good to deal with. But yeah, it really just depends how old these permits
the permits.
Are. Yeah.
We had an issue recently with a closing that was delayed. I want to say it was maybe 2.5 months, where the current owners were not aware that the previous owners had not taken out permits on significant finishing. So right. Basements, the septic I think might have had to have been upgraded because of the addition of a bathroom or addition of a bedroom. It was a whole myriad of issues that unfortunately was not this seller's fault in any way, but it had to do with the closing when they purchased a couple years prior. The owner prior hadn't got those permits done, and their title insurance wasn't going to cover anything.
Right.
Thankfully, these sellers were really lovely people and lovely to work with, and they worked together with my client, the purchaser, to then go about and do the work that was necessary. Right. Definitely required engineer's drawings, some structural elements, but like you said, these works were done, I want to say maybe 10 years prior. Yeah. So in that case, the code had changed and certain things had been overlooked and then now needed to be rectified. So they were. Everything was done. Everyone's happy now in the home. Unfortunately, it was quite a process for that seller to go through. But, when you have willing parties that still want it to work out,
right.
We're not going to impose major fines. We just want to buy the house that they thought they were buying. And everybody works towards getting it done.
Yeah.
So I think, in this case, it was maybe a little bit smoother as well because the buyer didn't have to move in right away. They were able to delay that closing. So it can be quite complicated, and it can blow up sometimes when a buyer needs accommodations and they've thought they bought a house, right?
Right.
It can be really, really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it puts everybody in a little bit of a stressful situation. But I mean, just like what you were saying, as long as you have two willing parties that want to sell the house and want to buy the house, I feel like everything can get worked out with a little bit of time. But I mean, another issue is that the work gets done. People move either back into their house or start using the deck or whatever it is, and the permit just doesn't close, like you were kind of just alluding to. Like, I feel like that's almost more of an issue. Like, people want to do the right thing, go get the permit, and then when it comes, it just never gets closed. And I wonder, like with my permit on my house, I did, unfortunately,
Is yours closed?
It is okay, closed good. Now, but it wasn't right away. Like, so they gave us the final stamp of approval, but then you get this little email after saying that we just require this and this and this, and often it's overlooked. It was overlooked by me, but I mean, I went back a little bit later and read through it. Okay, they need this drawing from the engineer, whatever it is, and so I was able to send that in and close it. But I mean, if you're not paying attention, or if you're just if the paperwork doesn't get done at the city, which I'm not blaming it on the city, but sometimes it does happen. I mean, it could kind of really mess things up, but.
Okay, so what can homeowners, buyers, sellers, what can they do to avoid these types of headaches that we've talked about? What should they do before committing to a sale?
Committed to sale. So, I mean, I feel with sellers itself, like if you have done, renovations where permits were either obtained or closed or whatever stage they're in, like just get all the paperwork ready. And like you should have a file. I'm hoping everybody has a file of like everything that they do, including invoices, all the work that you've done. If you got a new furnace, just put it all into the file so you can pull it out. And then you could check dates and check when they were done, and like just have everything ready for the buyer or your realtor. That's a good one. For buyers, it's tough because you kind of have to do, like you have to ask the right questions, and that's one thing about getting the right realtor, because the realtor will know what questions to ask. But it really comes down to a title search, and title searches typically get done after
last minute.
Like last minute, you're finding out a week before closing. Yeah. When what's going to happen with this house. That's kind of where it is difficult, and it's hard. There's one website that you can use called, I think it's Pronto, but I feel like
Excella, I think it is.
Is it Excella? Yeah. But I mean, you need like a login and a password to get into that, which I mean, it's a good source. It's a really good resource for everybody to use.
And maybe your realtor's the one to do that work and to look into that.
Most realtors will have access to that for sure anyways. But yeah, those are, I guess, the main ones.
Yeah. I love the idea of being organized and having a binder of all the work that you've done, all the receipts, everything in there. I think is fantastic. So as a seller, be super organized as much as you can. Go back into your records, check your emails, get all your receipts, especially if you hired a contractor, right?
Right.
And then home buyers, I mean, lean on your realtor, lean on your lawyer, ask the questions about permits, ask your realtor to look for permits. And sometimes you won't be able to see, we may not be able to see what's open and what's maybe not been taken out. Right. And maybe for the future home or current homeowners, it's just, if you're going to be doing some work, let's just assume you need a permit and then go to the city and then find out, hey, I don't need a permit for this actually. Right. I mean, isn't that a happy surprise? Why not just assume you need a permit and then be happy if you don't?
Or if you know, on the seller side, if you know that you've done work that needed a permit, just disclose it. Disclose it, because most people don't care. I shouldn't say that. A lot of people don't care whether there's a permit or not when you're doing something. Like, as long as it's
depends
done. It really depends. Yeah, like if it's a big addition. But if it's like, if you're doing something small that like is, the buyer would prefer to know up front and have it, then one day before a week before closing, when everybody has already moved, stress is high. Just let everybody know. I feel like disclose that portion of it. I feel it would save a lot of headaches.
Yeah, absolutely. So the bottom line, especially in regions like Sudbury, Greater Sudbury, where you have a backlog in permits and permits that remain open, do your due diligence ahead of time. Do your homework. It can save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of worry.
And that wraps up this episode. Thank you for tuning in to the TNT podcast.